psychology of what we think, somehow it's better today than it was 50, 100 years ago. It's the same.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
We started the live mid-conversation. So I'm not going to ask any celebrity stuff. We'll see if the chat does, because we should talk about Pluck and organ meats. But I will say something. My son, he loves your spicy, mild seasoning. Sorry, words don't come to me so early in the morning.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of people get so scared of that one because they see the word spicy. And we're like, no, it's all family friendly. It's like a really good, one of the ways
it's not that spicy.
It's
not really
spicy.
not. We do have a very spicy one coming, Nelson. We have one called habanero lime.
It's really good.
That's right. You got some that time,
I still have it. I still have some because I realized after carnivore, my tongue likes the spice, but my stomach doesn't.
I sent some to Ben Greenfield. He's like, I think it's a little too spicy. I'm like, really?
Let me know when you come out with the Carolina Reaper one.
Yeah, you guys and your Carolina Reapers, man. Is that officially the hottest pepper?
It's one of them. It's up there.
Yeah, it's pretty. I hear it's.
How many animals are attracted to it to eat it?
Probably not.
Only the ones with dysentery. Only the ones with dysbiosis. Right? I mean, there is. I have to imagine there's truth to that. I mean, I don't think they're out there eating peppers, but like how an animal knows what it needs, right? Like cows will gravitate towards the grasses that will support their health. So you have to wonder if an animal out there has something that it's probably eating, something bitter or something to help offset it.
There was like 1900 something in Australia, 100 cattle were killed in one evening because they were eating poisonous plants.
Oh, wow.
So they chose to eat them.
Well, and if you look at the United States Department of Agriculture's Journal on Plant Poisoning, animals are poisoned by plants all day long. But when they get sick, someone loses money. But when you get sick, someone makes money. So essentially, I mean, plants are not dumb. They don't want any animal eating them. They're going to do everything they can to help sort of manage their environment, right? And they're not there so every herbivore has a good day.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You don't want
I
to
have
kill
heard
them all.
though that there's. I had heard though. I thought Tyler of Wisconsin had said that they'll move around the pasture. Now I think his pasture is. Well, I don't know what kind of plant. I don't know if he has anything that's hazardous out there. But he did talk about how the cows would move seasonally to where they needed to go, like so certain grasses that were a little fattier, and then they would move to leaner ones or sweeter ones. Like I thought that was really fascinating.
Well, remember, we create stories. We're the storytellers. Do we really know why the cow's doing what it's doing? Again, I'm just throwing out crazy ideas. And when I learned the USDA's Agriculture's Journal on Plant Poisoning, and that how the plants actually change along with the microbes, which will change in order to attract or repel the organisms in order to get them to eat them or not, right? And if you think about it, an animal that dies on the soil provides fertilizer for the plants.
Right.
I don't know. There's a mix in all this. I mean, look at
all organisms. Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished with the sentence. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, again, all organisms have to eat something.
What do you think about though that whole what's your opinion about natural selection in the sense that, and this goes for humans as well, like that life is happening to try to find homeostasis. So that goes for viruses, that goes for anything. Do you because I think it's funny because we can talk about nature in that way, but then when it comes to human humans living or dying, then people get a little bit more ethical, or I don't know, they get a little they change their views.
We're no different than any other organisms.
Agreed, right?
It's evolution and reproduction. And when we use the word evolution, it means to continue to evolve but continue to reproduce. I mean, evolution happens despite us and all organisms, right? We're always changing. That's the nature of everything, right? The landscape changes, the solar system changes, the universe, everything changes. Every rock, every plant is evolving, and we're part of it. But we create stories of what we think it is, which doesn't mean that's what it is, but it's our belief of what it is. And then
as someone who, has studied science as a doctor, where do you kind of land on that fence of what side of the fence do you land on, where it's like, well, technology should and can be used when it applies? Or are you more like, well, no, natural selection exists for a reason. We should really if like, let's say a kid is born with a hole in their heart, then that's natural selection. Like that's life kind of saying, well, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very deep question, but I'm just curious where you stand on that.
Well, nothing is perfect in its production. There's always misfirings or accidents or misalignment. And so then we create a story of what it means, which doesn't mean that's what it means. It's our meaning of everything, right? We're the storytellers through our observations, our perceptions, but nothing aligns perfectly. Every object we make can be imperfect, and so does nature make imperfection. I think that's kind of the real answer. There's no there. It's all perfectly imperfect.
Wait, is it your birthday, Alia?
It is.
Everyone's like, that's what I'm trying to interrupt for. To say 42, that it's Alia's birthday today. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Is this your sweet 16? What are we?
Oh my God, that's so cute. Somebody else did 22, and now Taylor Swift is playing in my head. 42.
42.
Yeah.
Woo!
I want to add something to what you're saying. I hear you on natural selection, but like I had 2 C-sections. Like those babies weren't coming out. So I would have died, and the first baby would have died if we didn't do that C-section, or the baby would have died, and I would have been fine after much trauma. But maybe not. Maybe not. He was kind of crooked and losing his heartbeat. So I don't know.
Right. But everything has imperfections. We're intervening because we think this way. But remember,
we think we know the outcome, right?
Right. And maybe we don't. Maybe if we didn't do any of this monitor, but remember, we're sick, and our reproductive system is sick because of our environment and our diets.
Yeah.
So
were you drugged up at the time, Alia? Like,
oh my God, I was really drugged up. I was like 3 days, and because I was 46 plus weeks or whatever, I was like 3 days of trying to do stuff to get me to go into labor. So maybe that's the point. Is that I was
going to say, because I have to wonder, if you weren't drugged up, what would your natural instinct have been at any, at that, those critical points of how to support that child? I mean, I feel like on many levels, we're so similar to our meat production, similar to our food production, how separated we are from the source.
Right.
Like, I feel like we're like that with our own bodies and our own instincts as well, because the system is not set up for you to follow your instincts. It's to follow the story, similar to what Rob said, right? It's like it's set up to follow the story that it's invested in.
What's a healthy lifestyle? What's a healthy diet? What's we've created these massive medical systems to make us healthier. Well, at what cost? And is it? Now we know that through time, I mean, microbes are pretty massive at making fertilizer. They're pretty good at it, aren't they? And so we're doing our work to to change that. But it's all, you know.
Have you been hearing about the mushrooms that can break down plastic?
Well, mushrooms other organisms can pretty much break down rock.
I mean, it's kind of incredible.
It breaks down everything. So I don't know that we should be so surprised. But I mean, what is there forever anything? It's just our timeline is a little off, right? I mean, plastic has been around for 1 million years.
It has? What do you? Oh, just the chemicals for it, you mean?
I know, right? No. I mean, what does 1 million years of plastics look like? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, eventually everything gets kind of pulled down into the molten core of the earth.
Yeah.
The thing that I've been thinking about a lot since we're having fun, exploring ideas this morning. Hopefully everyone's on the road on the trip with us, in the plane with us.
Yeah, exactly.
But something that I've been thinking about a lot. So you know how I don't know if any of you have done plant medicine or anything like that, but there's a book called The Cosmic Serpent, and it's all about this scientist studying the ayahuasca plant. Unintentionally, just he went out to the rainforest. He was going to study something else, but then he inadvertently learned about this and then switched his study. So it's a very scientific look at plant medicine. And the shamans talked about how the plant, they had all this knowledge of words that we were only just learning at the time, DNA coils. They understood all these really big medical concepts, but they just had different language for it. And they talked about how the plant gave them that information, or how, nature gave them that information. I can't read it. What does that say?
The lost language.
There you go. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what. So I've been thinking more and more about how if these plants and organisms have stored knowledge, don't we have that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Infinite. I mean,
right?
If you think about it, I mean, we're sort of like dolphins talk, right? And dogs and cats talk, right? Well, why wouldn't a bacterius or virus talk, or why wouldn't a plant talk? Again, if an iPhone can talk to you, why can't the microbe talk to you?
Yeah,
right?
But then it brings up the question of like, well, so this infinite knowledge is in us, and so how do we tap it? And like really almost like setting out on that journey to really go more inward and trying to tap into this innate knowledge we already have.
And remember, if plants are talking and ayahuasca is the messenger, I guess alcohol and heroin could too.
Sure.
But somewhat it becomes our observation and perception of the conversation, right? We think in these realms, but I don't know that we're all hearing the same story.
Right.
I think that there's vibrational energy, electromagnetic energy that encompasses all life forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the question is, could a rock talk, or could the sun talk? Could the vibrational energy of every atomic structure, can we be in tune to hear it? I don't know.
That's the question. Can we?
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, can we? Okay, there's that question is, can we naturally, and can we in this time and age?
Austin Solter Biomag, Bonnie Bassler has a TED Talk on bacteria talking to each other.
The light thing is really interesting too. There's some really smart people that have been studying food and light, and they introduced ideas to me I never thought about. But one being that, so for example, the light that a banana absorbs, for example, a banana, in its tropical environment. And when you're in an environment where that wouldn't naturally tropically grow, and you eat that banana, you're getting a light, not necessarily in a good way, but you're getting a light at a time that when your body isn't actually potentially ready to receive that light. And he just talked about food from a light perspective. I thought that was such a fascinating concept. I haven't done a deep dive into it, but it's just like to think about food and what is it absorbing? What light is it absorbing when it's growing, when it's ripened? Because it is true, right? Different light is going to ripen things at a different pace.
Interesting.
We suddenly it changes color, or its pheromones are different. So all molecules in some way are communicating with other organisms or like organisms, right? Or it's trying to attract you and I to that ripe fruit, to spread it around the world, right? In order to migrate or immigrate, in order to propagate. I mean, that's all this is. It's propagation of our species, of every species.
You fly airplanes, so you're flying sometimes at different heights, from the ground. Do you ever feel what kind of feelings come from, being at a different level of where the light touching you or above the clouds, or does it hit you in a different way?
Well, observationally, we see when we're in the clouds, above the clouds, below the clouds. What I love is when we're just skimming the clouds at about 300 to 400 knots. And it's just such an amazing, amazing view. And then you go through a cloud that you're suddenly wishing you didn't, because the power of clouds, I mean, they could tear an airplane apart. Right. And so there's energy in all of this. And it's always awe-inspiring to take off in an airplane and certainly fly and then land an airplane. There's amazing energy when you see another airplane that you're above or below, not at the same level, and it just zips right past you. The amazing energetic. I mean, and we've been watching lately. We were down in Newport Beach and Irvine. All the kids, they're all on electric bikes now. We didn't have electric bikes, and they're like zooming with the traffic, and at the speed we're all moving. Maybe that's it. It's the speed of light. To see light moving faster and faster, and yet we all have to slow down.
That's such a interesting thought. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. The kids at a younger age now are exposed to faster speeds than we were. And what does that do for your cells? What does that do for your mind? Your how you think? And then of course I can tell a story of like, oh, well, they're also watching videos that are cut faster, and they're watching shorter, faster clips, so that maybe they're conditioned towards faster speeds. I don't know, but that's a very interesting thought of like, yeah, those electric vehicles, those things go fast.
They do. That's a really good point.
Komorebi pastoral, amazing life experience for me was during a tandem skydive. We went through a hole in a cloud, right? I mean, again, what's the effect of all these forces on our cellular function, right? And are speeding up or slowing down, right? And how the molecular structure of a cell is affected by that. And we know that when you rotate a wire in a magnetic field, you create electricity. And so when we're sped up we're all in a magnetic field, what electrical forces are we creating that have an effect on all parts of our evolution? And it might be interesting, why are we attracted to spices, which are have a feeling first on our lips and our tongues, and maybe you could talk about that, James, and some of the work you're doing with Pluck and organ meat spices, but some of it is not neutral. Some of it has I don't know if you're working with spicy, bitter, sweet, all of these things.
Yeah, I mean the palate is fascinating. I think we're talking about communication, how in a sense like microorganisms communicate, how cells communicate. Well, the way I look at our body is that we're in this Homo sapien body basically still. It's still over multiple hundreds of thousands of years old kind of thing. Like it hasn't changed really. So that means the biological communication pathways haven't changed either. It's just similar to what you said earlier. It's the stories that we're telling have maybe changed, and how we think, oh, well, I'm going to take all these pills and this is how I'm going to get my nutrients. Like, well, no, that's not. The body was designed to follow flavor equaled nutrition. It was very basic communication that it was looking for. Is this food going to kill me, or is it going to nourish me? And so the communication pathway of the palate is designed for that. And if you're not eating your food, you are bypassing that communication and you're delaying it. And so going back to the earlier part of the discussion of like, how do we actually like tap into our innate knowledge of what our body needs? It's kind of impossible if you're not eating your food and you're also not eating it slow enough for that communication to happen. So it's funny that the conversation has led to this, but it's really true. Like, we gotta slow down, and we gotta chew our food. We gotta eat our food, and we gotta use our senses when we use them. And I think that ultimately the flavors are communicating, like music, how your body can either prepare for digestion, how it can receive the other food you're eating, how it can I don't know, absorb or respond to what you're putting in, what you're putting in your mouth. But the flavors are like, I think of almost like, remember that Steven Spielberg movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Remember how they use the dee, 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 to communicate to the aliens? I feel like that's what flavor is doing to us. It's communicating, it's hitting different points, different energies, different light, different sounds to inspire what our body is needing or wanting.
Well, but part of that, remember, all organisms have their own needs. And if we're ultimately food for our food, it could be that those tunes, the vibration, the music is a part of us being corralled and domesticated for the real food.
I think that's true.
By plant. I mean, think about plants, right? The plants, we're mass manufacturing plants, and at the end of the day, the seeds survive pretty much everything and anything, and our evolution may be for plant food.
I mean, I think it also could be for organisms, right? Like so back in the day, this is a long time ago, I was so carnivorous. Like I was always hungry for meat, and I couldn't get satiated. Then did some testing, and I had parasites. And when I removed those parasites, I was not as carnivorous. So clearly I was feeding the parasites too.
Well, aren't bacteria, yeast, and viruses parasites?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying we're feeding other things.
Right on. And so they're basically, we're all in this dance, and the universe doesn't care about you living a long time. All this stuff is that the universe, this idea that you live a day, a week, a year, or 50 years, or 100 years. That's just, it's all part of the concert, right? The massive concerto of every instrument is critical and important. There's no one organism that's more important than the other.
No, clearly, yeah. Some people are, the balance is really all over the place,
Should we talk about Pluck? Should we talk about Pluck for a little while?
Well, why do we? Well, I look at when evolutionarily speaking, we hunted, killed, and ate. We didn't wait for the chef, the cook, or the spice maker.
No, but sometimes we did forage for wild herbs and stuff to add to things, and usually it was for a specific desired outcome. So, you talk to like Dr. Bill Schindler, and he'll talk about how, we were foragers before we were predators, mostly because we just didn't have the tools to be the predator.
Well, but so in our evolution, let's just say we were tree dwellers, or we were eaters of plants. We were not hunters. And remember, we're creating a story of what we think we were.
Right. Of course, no one knows. Right.
No one knows that answer.
And the body, the digestion, the body was different than like that's what at least that's the story they tell, is like that wasn't Homo sapien body. The Homo sapien body was from predator. At least that's the story they say.
And so when you killed the animal, were you going for the brain first, or were you going for the bowels first, the belly?
I see. My understanding is that you fast when you're going to hunt. You usually would fast to heighten your senses to help support the kill. Mm-hmm. And when you then killed the animal, you then went for the heart or the liver first, because those were like the nutrient packed, vitamins.
Well, the omentum, the gut,
right? Yeah, it had a lot of animals. That's what they go to first.
Well, I mean, once you open up the belly, you're going to say, no, I don't want the bowels. I don't want yes. And it's interesting, like killer whales will kill a shark to get their liver.
Yeah. Then that's all they'll eat. I know, it's crazy. Like literally they'll leave the entire rest of the carcass and just eat the liver. So it tells you so that to me, that speaks in many ways. One is that they know what they want. They know what they need, right? It's that instinct. But then also it speaks to, well, they're getting something from that liver that they're not getting from the rest of that shark.
Well, here's another one from Monzolino, and this is Instagram. Should we not be listening to our instincts more, as they are connected to the embedded knowledge passed on with every human generation?
So Mary Ruddock had a really interesting response to this, because I usually come from the place of, well, I think we do have these. We know our body knows what it needs. We just have to listen more. So that's usually where I default. But Mary Ruddock pointed out, well, yeah, you would say that naturally would be true. But if let's say your gut is destroyed, then you're getting miscommunications. You're getting communication that maybe not be actually. It's like almost like you're playing telephone with the wire, but you're getting, it's disrupted. It's not actually accurate.
Right. And so ultimately, I mean, think of the environment that we're in that has completely hijacked our instincts, right?
Exactly.
I mean, do you really have an instinct for my favorite meal, which is Big Mac, fries, and a Coke supersized? I mean, is that really? But think about it. Fruit, Coke, highly sweet. You better eat it while it's sweet, otherwise you're dead. And if you found meat, let's just say this is a scavenger's meal. All right, what were you going to do? Walk away?
Yeah, no way. We're opportunists.
Right on. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, you want calories. And the last I looked, all right, you're a plant and an animal eater. Last I looked, a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke contain all those things.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And that's where I do believe that's where our tastes come from, right? Is that each taste represents a different physical need. You know, salt representing hydration, for example. Bitterness representing, you know, like in a sense, almost like detox or purity. Like, because you think about it, if you ever, bitterness could represent, over bitterness could represent poison, but incorporating bitterness could actually support digestion as well. So I do believe these different flavors have a communication and a purpose. The key is, are we still eating in the realm of these foods that our bodies were originally designed to eat? That's, and so then you have like a milkshake is suddenly representing something sweet, but we're, you know, like you said, the story we're telling around it is all, it's confusing. It's just very confusing for people.
Well, I mean, again, plants and microbes want to thrive and survive. You're just another meal. You're just fertilizer. And that's the craziness, right? We have this hierarchy that we know the story. We're just telling our opinion of the story, right? And much of it is marketing ploys.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And that is, I mean, and then the question becomes, well, how do you filter out all the noise, you know? And I think that even potentially goes back to earlier in the conversation of like, well, in my judgment, you do everything you can to just make choices where you can either go more inward, whether that's through faith, that's through creating pauses, creating silence in your life, even if they're 1 minute, 30-second moments, prayer, right? It's like to create anything that will just quiet the noise down in it, where you can go inward and sense what am I feeling right now? But ultimately there's a lot of noise out there. And if you don't take the time to do that, I feel like you start, like when I don't take the time to go inward, I feel like I get a little, have any of you ever had those days? So when I used to chef and do long days, I mean, I'm talking 16, 20-hour days of being on my feet, I would be fine while I'm up. Like I'd almost be like, I got this. And I'm in adrenal, you know, I'm in that adrenaline mode. But then when I went to lay down that night, my body would be like vibrating.
Yeah.
And it would take so long for me just to come down. And so I think a lot of times we can be so, if we don't go inward, we can be so like kind of on like a live wire with all the noise and not even be aware that our body is, you know, overcompensating.
I'll be back. Keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, why don't you ask me some questions? Because I know I'm talking about everything but Pluck, right?
I love it.
This is how I get, though. This is how I get.
Oh my God, I'll get you on my podcast. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I do want to talk about Pluck because I don't think people know what Pluck is.
Yeah.
And we should talk about that. Why is it like your passion project?
Yeah, really. So Pluck actually is a 15th century term for organ meats. So a lot of people don't know that the name is an authentic name for organ meats. And I'm just a big, you know, I mentioned earlier, like how the story I'm telling is when I think back and from studying some history, like I think, well, okay, if the hunters originally were fasting and they would go to kill that animal, something that we're not doing these days very much, but back in the day is you would utilize the whole animal, and they might eat the liver or the heart right there to replenish their stores. And so that means they're then dressing the animal, they're bringing back the animal. And that means there's probably no longer a heart, or maybe there's no longer a liver. So this idea that we're designed to only eat muscle meat, and then like right now, if you were to just kind of close your eyes and just listen to some of the chatter, you would think that we're only designed to eat ribeyes and liver, because that's the only parts of the animal people are really talking about, at least on social media. And I just don't believe that that's what we were designed to do, that we would never waste the animal ever. We would absolutely use the whole animal. And so that's what we're trying to do. I'm on a mission to try to help people get more parts of the animal in their diet. So like Pluck is utilizing not only the liver, beef liver, but it's also kidney, heart, spleen, and pancreas. We hope to add lung soon. We're going to be coming out with a brain product as well. And then we're going to have like men's testosterone blend. We're going to have female fertility blend, and we're going to be using the parts of the animal that support those parts in us. So whole animal, we're trying to get the whole animal into people's diets as easily and deliciously as possible, because I recognize there's hurdles. People don't know how to cook them. They don't know how to source them or where to source some of these things. Very hard to get pancreas, for example. And then third thing is, a lot of people think they're gross, you know, and I get it, because when you look at photos of these things, you know, fresh out of the animal, they're very different from muscle meat, and it's intimidating. So we're trying to remove those hurdles and make it super easy for you to just incorporate more of the whole animal. And what's cool is when you start to incorporate the whole animal, you find you're getting more than just what you were. And so suddenly it's like you're seeing how Mother Nature really did provide. Like I look at organ meats like they are truly a multivitamin. And, you know, like science tells you, well, this is what you need to have a child, right? They describe what's in a prenatal on this. And like they're always looking for like, this is what you need to take to either become fertile or to stay fertile. And it's all in organ meats, all of it.
Interesting.
So it's like, if I can support you in getting more of what Mother Nature provided, then to me, I'm winning, because that's my mission.
Awesome. And so it's seasoning. It's seasoning.
Yeah.
Just
So what I did,
clear.
So once again, the hurdle is people think they're gross. People don't know how to cook them. And then they are struggling sometimes to source them. And so what I did was try to solve that, because, you know, going back to earlier in the conversations, we can talk all we want till we're blue in the face about what we think we should be eating. But the reality is most people are living lives where they either don't have access to some of this stuff, or they're not taking the time to get access to it. They're just running their lives and getting fast food, or they're doing things that are so kind of out of sync with what their body is wanting. And so so we're just trying to take these ancestral foods and utilize modern technique of freeze drying and then get them into your diet. And like I said earlier, I don't want you to swallow a capsule. I want you to eat the food. And so that's what we're trying to do is, well, how can we get you to eat it? Oh, well, what if we take the freeze dried powdered organs, since now they're preserved, they can last longer, and we combine them with other things that are already dried to help with the flavor so that people actually eat them. Because, you know, still, I mean, I still to this day, I'll go to events. I was just at one on Sunday where people are walking by the booth and you're like, oh yeah, this is organ meats. And they make that face like, ugh, it's like they're scared. They're literally scared of it. And I'm like, you know, never in ancestral history would you have been scared of this. You would have been like, oh, food. But now we look at it as like, oh, this is dog food, or I don't know what people look at it. They just look at it as something from Halloween.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think part of the problem is that a lot of people don't like, for example, the taste of liver. So they assume all organs will taste like that. Some organs, they taste a lot like the muscle meat, almost like hard, because it's muscle meat really. Is very
you can definitely. So there's ways to ease into it, but one thing to know, and this I do this a lot when I do cooking demos on organ meats. So the meat gets more intense the more you cook it. So raw meat is actually the mildest, and as you cook the meat, it gets more intense, and it changes the flavor. And that's true with liver too. Raw liver is going to be the least intense, and then overcooked, like chalky, like is going to be really like nasty. And that's one reason is because while we talk about flavor all the time, we're also texture hounds. So texture actually leads us more than we think. Like, and I think of like when people eat, let's say, a bag of chips. No, I know no one in this group does, but let's just remember those days back in the day when we had a bag of chips. The first 3 chips are what you tasted. After that, you were just chasing the crunch.
Right.
Because your taste buds are all blown out. You can't taste anything else. And now you're just literally chasing that crunch. So we are very texture oriented. And so that is one way to kind of ease someone into a new food, is to ask them, like, well, what textures do you gravitate towards? Like, you could, for example, if they're not normally meat eaters, but they like something really crispy, you could technically cut that meat. You could freeze it first and then cut it really thin and then dehydrate it into like a chip and get them to start eating the meat because it's now crispy. So there's lots of different ways you can mess with texture.
A lion that does not like to eat meat becomes meat. We're all brainwashed, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. But you know who I mean, there's people out there that they've kind of like confused themselves so much that now their body doesn't even like. I mean, I meet them all the time, because they'll say, I'll try to get them to try Pluck, and they'll be like, oh, I don't eat meat, or I don't do this. And I'm like, but look at you, like literally. I was at an event Sunday, and it was in Boston. It wasn't a health event. It was a food event. The amount of women that walked by, and I'm specifically pointing out women, because some of these women, they were young girls and they were so thin. So thin. And I would ask them, are you anemic? And they were like, yeah, I am. And I said, you need this product. Like, you need Pluck. Like, please, here. And I would hand it. I gave them some samples for free. And I'm like, just try this and see how this starts to make you feel. And it was fascinating to me, because you could tell that, and a lot of them were saying, yeah, I usually don't eat meat, but I'm recognizing I need to start eating some. But I'm so intimidated. Like, I don't want the smell of it, the touch, they were just talking exactly about like, and they did look like they were going to be lions dinners. Like, they looked very frail.
Oh no, it's so sad.
Couple of quick questions from Instagram.
We have a bunch of questions, by the way.
Yeah. Can anyone answer how the body stops losing weight or gaining on beef? And it's 55 too old for carnivore.
So what's the question?
Well, the question is, how does the body decide the correct weight of, and can anyone answer how the body stops losing weight or gaining weight on carnivore, and is 55 too old for carnivore? Is there a correct weight for an animal, human being, all the time?
It's going to ebb and flow all the time, depending on circumstance, environment, seasoning, or not seasoning.
And seasoning.
It could be.
But I have to think that if you eat slow enough, you're not just go, that your body will tell you when to stop. Oh, there you go. There's the seasoning.
Yeah. So this one is just organ meats. It doesn't have any flavors, right? It just tastes like.
Yeah, that's just the pure.
Meats.
And we did that, so if anyone, because everyone obviously is at different stages of, let's say, being carnivore, right? And so if someone's very strict and they're not doing any seasonings, then you can get pure. And what I've heard is some people add like smoked salt to it, or some, their favorite salt, and they just use the pure, which is the 5 organ meats, and the salt, and they use that as a seasoning. And what's kind of nice is that the organ meats have a depth to it. So it actually adds a little bit, it adds flavor and depth to the meat. Yeah. And there's some strict carnivores that swear by it. And then if you start adding some different herbs and other seasonings, then the other 3 are perfect, because then now they're adding even more flavor. Because, I don't know. Do you ever, I think this is a question for the panel of like, when I'm strict anything, I kind of start to want to bust out of it. And so flavor is what helps me. Like, adding flavor to things is what helps keep it interesting to me, because I'm a bit of a flavor hound. I'm always looking for flavor in things.
I think so. I mean, my son, he loves ground beef, but he loves this on his ground beef. And he eats ground beef almost every day.
What is this?
Add this in it.
What is this? Those are listening.
This is Pluck. This is Pluck. This is This is James's product of the organ meat seasoning. So this one has some flavors in it, but this is the Pluck without any flavors. Sorry, now you can't see it. This is without any flavors. It's just pure organ meat, and it looks like salt.
Yeah, it just looks like salt.
It just looks like salt.
And by the way, just for some others here, I started carnivore at 55. I'm in my 70th year of life. I turned 70 in March. I've never felt better.
You don't look a day over 69. Does anyone ever tell you that?
I love you, my brother. I love you. But this is and again, it doesn't, you feel better on this way of eating and living. And it's what poisons come from beef.
Right.
And organ meats are critical. And if you're not going to eat them, sprinkle them on as a seasoning or supplement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the seasoning adds the spice of life, which we all do love.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the key, right? And I love that we're talking about, it's not about one or the other. It's not about taking, the capsules you're selling or the seasoning. It's like, however you get it in, we're just saying, get it in. The organ meats are an important part of the whole animal. And so whatever works for your lifestyle, do it. And sometimes you're going to be really diligent about getting your capsules in. Great. And then you're going to sometimes fall off, and then the Pluck, the seasoning will be there for you when you need it, or vice versa. So the key, though, that the message I'm really pushing, particularly with the carnivore community, because let's be honest with ourselves. Like a lot of people in the carnivore are not eating organ meats. They're just eating the muscle. And it's like, some of them, not all of them, but many of them are still having some health issues. And I'm telling you, if you start incorporating those organ meats in, you will most likely see a lot of those health issues just disappear.
I believe it. And one of these things you mentioned to me when I met you at Meat Stock was that if you start taking this, it's going to like expand your palate, and maybe you will actually like organ meats afterwards. Yeah. Even though it doesn't really taste like that.
No. Oh, yeah. For anyone that's asking, like, does it taste like liver? No, I designed it so that the actual pure blend is very neutral. I balanced all the organ meats for flavor. And so what you do is you get a very neutral kind of powder, like it's just very neutral. And it's got a hint of meaty aftertaste, just a hint. So what's kind of cool about pure is you could put it in, not that you're all making like baked goods, but you could go sweet or savory with it. Right. And you can also give it to your pets because there's no salt or herbs in it. And what's cool is if you have a picky pet, man, you want to see the power of organ meats. Okay, if you have a pet that you've been feeding the standard American diet to, like those kibble things that they would never eat in nature, you sprinkle a little bit, and you notice that your pet is always like picky. You sprinkle Pluck Pure on that and watch how fast they eat it. And then you tell me that we weren't designed to eat organ meats.
And
I don't know if you mentioned that, James, sorry, but you mentioned there are 5 organ meats there. Which one are they?
Liver, heart, kidney, spleen, and pancreas. And what's cool about getting all 5 or even more than that, like I said, we hope to add lung to it as well. They each have their own support systems in them. So we call it like supports like. So each of them have more that they're offering. And pancreas, for example, has natural digestive enzymes. So you know how some people are like, I don't feel like I'm digesting my food properly, I'm going to take these pineapple enzymes. Well, no, don't do that. Just eat what Mother Nature provided. And if you're using Pluck, or you're using, because I think your blend has pancreas in it too, right? Right, Rob? I think it does.
Yes.
One of them does.
Pancreas, yep. It has liver, brain, kidney, spleen, heart, and
we have brain. We have brain also.
What you could do is you could either use Pluck Pure when use Pluck when you're eating your food if you want to help support your digestion, or take some of those capsules right before you eat. And then that pancreas that's in there will literally help you digest your what you're eating, your food.
Alia, do we have a link to Pluck on our Shopify?
No, but we will get one.
We got to have the links here, right? So people can
Yeah.
find this stuff, right?
Yes.
You get a discount and we get 2 cents.
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
I put
Yeah,
the
but I'm-
link for his website on the chat, in the chat.
And that's what somebody's winning today. Somebody at the giveaway is winning some Pluck. Hashtag KMT for some Pluck. Should we try
Yeah,
to get
the
these
question-
questions?
This is an interesting question or interesting topic, is because a lot of times people are like, can I get too much? And this kind of goes back to that question of like, when do I know, how does my body know when to stop with eating carnivore? Like, do I get enough meat to either, to balance my body out? And if you think about it, when we follow these communication pathways that are established, that are hundreds of thousands of years old, this process of eating, what I call the neurolingual response, when you follow that, your body won't let you overeat, particularly when the foods, when there's 3 categories happening. So one is that the food has flavor that's found in nature. So not natural flavors, but food that it has flavors that are found in nature. The food is nutrient dense, and then you're mindful eating. When you're doing those 3 things, your body will tell you when to stop. You just got to listen. And so what I find very fascinating in this is an example in my own household. Historically, my wife usually loves using Pluck, but recently, for probably like the last 4 or 5 months, she has not her body has not gravitated or wanted to use it. And she got tested and her numbers are like perfect. Like she has no indicative numbers showing that she needs it. So I'm like, well, yeah, your body right now is saying like, hey, I'm good with my iron. I'm good with my vitamin A. Like it's not needing it. So I think that that's just a testimony of like, when you eat real food, your body will tell you what it needs and when to stop. Or the organisms that are living inside you will eventually say stop, whatever, if you want to go back to the earlier part of the conversation. But the other myth that you hear a lot is like, oh, but those are, liver and kidneys are detoxification organs. Isn't that, aren't we eating lots of organ or toxins when we eat those things? And it's like, well, that question is always interesting to me, because basically it's assuming that, okay, first of all, that your liver is a sponge, or a sieve, that everything gets blocked up. And if you think about it, if our body was so easily stopped up, wouldn't we all be dead?
Right.
Like if your liver literally just stored toxins. We live in such a toxic world. Like your carpets, when those come into your house, they're so toxic. When the toxins were breathing, eating, drinking. And so if you thought of your liver like you did your kitchen sink strainer, where all the food and stuff builds up, and if you pretend that that's the toxins, we would literally be dead. So the job of that organ is to take those toxins and convert them into water soluble forms so they can leave your body. And how do they leave your body? Poop, pee, sweat. So if you're and breathing, right, as well. So it's like if your elimination pathways are not working, which is a very important part of health, then that's where things start to go awry. And where the toxins get stored is not in the liver, they get stored in your fat. So
I've always questioned that one. Why, again, if toxins aren't the job of the liver is, one, to make fat, to make VLDL, transport your minerals, vitamins, and molecules to every cell of your body, and to detoxify. Okay. So now what's the liver's job? What does it detoxify? Tylenol? Alcohol?
Things we shouldn't be having.
But or magic mushrooms.
could be anything.
Well, right. So in our ancient evolution, think about it. There was no house, there was no car, there was no human manufactured products in essence. There was nature. right? And you slept on the ground in a cave or not, right? So we're always worried about the bugs in the carpet, right? What about the bugs in the ground?
Sure.
I mean, they're everywhere, right? And so, I don't know, we've created some stories that like adipose tissue is bad for us, right? Because it stores poisons. I've always questioned that. But again, why do we overeat? Because we had the food when we ate it. You wanted to eat as much as you can to make fat in order to survive.
Yeah, famine.
Or hibernation, migration, gestation, or a million other things. The problem is there's no these food this time of food famine for most of us doesn't exist.
Yeah, not anymore. That's for sure.
And so the body, the brain and body doesn't know that food in general is quite abundant, right? So we're trying to tell everyone, well, don't eat so much, but the human brain has more time without food than with food.
But when you're eating the proper diet, though, it's almost like James is saying, it's almost impossible to overeat because you get to a point that you say, okay, I'm full. I'm able to push away and save the
but
half of the ribeye that's left. But with the hyper palatable foods that are created, which are not real food,
It's hard.
Right,
you don't stop.
There are plenty of carnivores that are overweight.
But are they overweight from being a carnivore, or are they overweight from prior to being a carnivore?
No. Just again, everyone is like, well, I'm not losing weight. I've got to stall. My point is, the human brain does not want you to be skinny because the odds there's going to be no food the next week, next month, next year, or our evolution is lack of food, not abundant food. And so your brain knows better. Every cell knows much better than they're going to deliver food to me tomorrow. Well, what if there's a massive something that our food is not delivered to the local box?
Well, or do you think it's also possible that it could be an indicator that something else is going on? So it's maybe they're not even related. Like I'm thinking, like I just got a hormone test, for example. So my testosterone was really good, but my cortisol levels were really bad. So that's fight or flight.
Well, according to what? You're right. So are we living in a fight or flight environment? I mean, what animal goes at 60 miles an hour? Is
like
that
all
a
the time
natural thing, right? That's unnatural, right?
Totally.
And so our lives are, what other organism, like human beings evolved in what type of populations? Cities, not, right? And if there was another band of another tribe, then that was fight or flight, right? And so we're living in a very stressful environment. And does stress say put fat on or keep fat off?
That's and that's what exactly what I'm getting at. Is like it may not be that carnivore is making you gain weight. It could be there's something else going on.
Well, and again, no other animal says, boy, you're getting fat.
Do you think you think rhinoceroses don't look at each other and go, "Oh, Harold, you've gained a few. You got to pull back."
Or
no,
elephants?
they're going for the fat. Fat is absolutely the evolutionary top dog.
Well, and to your point earlier, it's the larger animal that's usually the alpha.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The larger not always, but sometimes it's the bigger lion, the bigger rhino. They're usually the alpha of the pack.
Very good point.
Right on. And so the same thing for most of our evolutionary time, skinny was never the thing that we're searching for. Never.
Until wasn't her name Ziggy, that model in the 60s?
Twiggy.
Twiggy, that's it. Yes, Twiggy.
Oh, because she was like a twig? Like
well,
very, very thin.
she was one of the first kind of supermodels in the 60s that like was truly like they were celebrating her emaciated look. And she
Oh,
was,
wow.
yes, she was very much a twig. But that was her name, Twiggy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But she was crazy thin. And then, and, you know, and then in the 80s, there was that, or was it the early 90s? There was that other
Kate
female.
Moss. Kate
Yep,
Moss.
Kate Moss. She's very much like Twiggy as well. Very emaciated looking. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, we have celebrated, you know, I think that's also the thing is because I see some people saying like the psychology, if you have something emotional going on, it's going to sometimes result in, you know, overeating. So there's lots of, I think we can't necessarily always just isolate one thing and say, oh, well, it's because I'm eating carnivore or because I'm doing this. That's why I'm gaining weight. It's like, no, there could be other things going on in your life that are resulting in you either overeating or doing other things, or your body's not absorbing things, or it's holding on to fat, or it's whatever it is.
Well, but being skinny is not evolutionarily valuable.
Right.
It is not. It is completely incorrect. I mean, remember, we have a massive business of fat loss in this world. So we're still sharing the message. It's better to be skinny.
It also depends on what you're defining as skinny, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
yeah, what's the definition? What's the story of that?
I just want to say congrats, Cam's dad. Email me and we will get you some Pluck. There you go. Alia@drkills.com. We're already over an hour, by the way.
Oh, I got to
Felt like 10 minutes.
Yeah, we could be here for like another hour.
I know. I got to get my kids to school.
Me too.
This was a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, always.
And Dr. Nelson always brings some really fantastic guests along with Alia. I'm so appreciative of everyone being here, and keep doing what you're doing, James. And
Thank
Pluck
you.
is again, we're adding spice to life. Critical.
Yeah, thank you all. Thanks for having me, and just thank you for what you're doing. Just appreciate everyone. You know, one of the things I always like to end with, if I can just take 2 seconds, is that, you know, most people are not even making their health a priority. So the fact that all of you are on this call, you're all taking the time to just think about and be mindful about what am I putting in my body and what choices am I making. You're already 85% of the way there, because most people don't even get off the couch to even explore these concepts. They're just kind of accepting what's being presented to them. And so I appreciate that you're all very curious and that you're all showing up for yourselves and taking care of your health, because I believe we need that. We need to be we need to be in charge of what we let pass through our mouths. And so the fact that you guys have enough care for yourself, self-care, to be here on this call says so much. So I hope you're all patting yourselves on the back and just kind of just basically honoring yourself for showing up, because so many people don't.
Show up. That's it. To Instagram, thank you all for being here. Your comments. To Mighty Tribe, thank you also. And to everyone on YouTube, Facebook, and
everything
X
else.
and everything else.
3
Take care,
p.m. 3 p.m. Jenny Middich,
The queen of tests. The
queen of testing. Yep.
Be there. All right, everybody. See y'all later. Thanks, James.
Thank
Bye
you guys.
all.
Be well.
Love ya.
Bye.
See you soon.
Yeah.